Good afternoon. Thank you so much for coming to Serving Our Community Through Entrepreneurship with Jennifer Taunton. I'm Kelly Clark. I am the APGT coordinator from Rosebud School District. I'm also the AGATE proposal chair for the conference, the AGATE conference. So I got to read through all these cool little proposals for presentations. We will have question and answers. I'll monitor the chat. So if you have a question, you can just pop it into the chat, and I'll break in and interrupt Jennifer. No, I'll break in and let her know about what your questions are before we move on to the next topic, the next part of her session. Just a few little things. Your bingo card, if you've been keeping track of your bingo, it's due by 4 o'clock. Just submit that. If you did not yet check box number 1 that says you have seen someone wearing the Agate Zooming with Friends t-shirt, well, you can now add that. There you go. There's the t-shirt. Also, the parent sessions from last night have been posted to the Agate website. So if you'd like to check on those and check that out, that would be great. Awards are tonight from 6 to 7. You can watch that on the Agate website or on the Facebook page. And trivia is at 7. I'm now going to turn it over to Jennifer. And if you have any questions, pop them in the chat.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for sticking with me at this very end of the school day. I have done a lot of things. I was a GT facilitator in El Dorado. And then I ran off to Cincinnati to do economics training for teachers and to work with their student enterprise program there. Came back to Arkansas to work with Economics Arkansas, and then decided, hey, my favorite thing really is being with the kids. The grown-ups are fun and all, but the kids are better, no offense. But so I went back to teaching and started at Springdale Public Schools, where I am currently a facilitator at 2 schools, Linda Childers Knapp Elementary and Parson Hills Elementary. And just to sort of give you an idea of what my current situation is, so Linda Childers Knapp is larger. It's 550 students. We typically, in a typical year, run closer to 700. 90% of my kids are free and reduced lunch. 62% are English language learners. I have 32 identified GT kids, and I provide a lot of enrichment. So, and then at Parson Hills, the stats are pretty much the same. High poverty, high English language learners, not nearly as many GT students, but it's my first year there, and we're hoping to raise those numbers. And again, a lot of enrichment, which I enjoy, but it can be a lot. Kindergarten kind of scares me. For those of you who like kindergarten, bless you, but kindergarten scares me. So that's what I do, which means that outside of the budget that Mr. Smithy provides the GT teachers and TAF money, there's not a lot of money to pull from out of, say, parents' pockets. So when we look at things, I try to find ways for the kids to take true ownership of what they want to do. And so it all started with the scarcity of resources that very first year. My kids got into building chain reactions and Rube Goldberg machines, and they got really aggravated, mostly with me, but in general with themselves, because they couldn't figure out how to do the vertical elements. They kept falling off tables and things, but not quite where they're like, Ms. Taunton, we want some of that holy board from Lowe's that you talked about. Can we get some of that? And I said, well, guys, I've spent all the money this year. How can we pay for that? And they're like, well, we don't have any money. I said, I know. So how do people who don't have money get money? Please don't ever ask that question to anybody above like 2nd or 3rd grade, because it can get a little wild. So they decided that they needed to sell something to help pay for their resources. And one of the things that I truly always try to do is kids need to know that they don't have to always wait for somebody else to save them or to pay for something or to do that, so they can figure out how to do it on their own. So we started about being entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs are just people who take risks, put together their productive resources, open a new business, and try to make some money. It's challenging. The first product they made are these little ornaments. They are paddle beads. We've all made these at various times, and they sold them for 50 cents. We made nearly 500 ornaments, but we'll talk more about that later. So these are the advertising work we did. And that to me was probably the most fun I had, because we talked about the different types of advertising, bandwagon testimonials, comparisons, and those sorts of things. We looked for commercials that illustrated these different types of advertising. And then we started making our own advertising. Now, I'm not sure you can really see it, but this right here along this picture, that's the writing for the advertising they're going to post in the hallway. It's not even an inch long. And then most of his was yellow. I truly remember being told in my media class a number of years ago in college that you never use yellow, people can't see it. And here's some girls that are sort of getting it right, but neatness wasn't our friend. So we go through and we talk about, not only do you have to be persuasive and use one of these advertising techniques, but people also need to be able to read your signs. So then we sent out an order form, and I'll share all of this with anybody who wants it. You just have to send me an email. We sent out order forms and Ziploc bags, and they turned in the money. And so when the money came in, each kid got a bag, and they had to count and make sure the money matched the order forms. The hardest lesson we had with this was the children understanding that they had to total up all the orders and all the money and make sure that matched for each form, not the whole bag, but each form. Otherwise, you can't figure out who didn't turn in the money or who turned in too much money, which happens in an elementary school. Then we had our treasurer. Billy here was our treasurer, and he goes and then double checks all their work. And so that was, and he also posted in the spreadsheet how much money we had earned, or not earned, but all our revenues for the day. And then production started. And I very much let the kids work it out on their own. Now, the easiest way to do this would have been to spread out all over the room. But they decided they all needed to work in that clump together around that table and snatch pieces from each other. It was wildly entertaining, but they built them. And the Friday before we were supposed to deliver these, I said, hey kids, how are we doing on supplies? Do we need anything else? Oh no, Miss Taunton, we're good, we're good, we're good. Monday morning, hey, Miss Taunton, we need some more beads. Now, couldn't get them in Springdale, Fayetteville, Rogers, Bentonville, or anywhere within 100 miles. So we made some substitute ornaments for those people who didn't quite get all the ones they wanted. But we paid for our Holy Board and then had a little money left over. And the kids were like, well, Miss Taunton, what can we do with that money? And I'm like, what do you want to do with it? What would you? And they're like, well, we don't have any playground equipment. Now, a lot of places, the kids will say, we don't have anything to play with on the playground, but we literally had no playground equipment because we were a brand new school and they had allotted us however much money they allot for playgrounds, and it wasn't quite enough. So we took our extra money down to Miss Covington and donated that to the playground fund. Now, the kids were super excited. It was fantastic, but we bought a swing. Maybe. So I'm not necessarily going to make a lot of money depending on what project you use. So here's what the kids learned, that earning the money and paying for their things feels good. Being good at math can help you with a job. That was there were kids who fired themselves from being the treasurer. And that being an entrepreneur is not nearly as easy as they thought. A lot of kids think, well, I'll just start my own business. That'll be easy. Well, it's not, because there's lots of things that goes into that. What I learned, always choose something that you can source the materials locally. If it takes a week to get to you, You're not going to get it. If you don't do that order twice what you need, you can always use it a few years later, and put a spot on the order form for the student who's doing the ordering's teacher's name. We had to look up kids through our e-school system to figure out what class they were supposed to be in, because we didn't think our order form all the way through. Now, this is what we bought. And one of the assistant principal's father put those together for us, that they could set those up and they could make them stand completely upright at a 90-degree angle, or lay them completely down depending on how they wanted to do it. And my dad, the engineer, sorted that out for us. So, but that's how we spent the first bit of money, Let's Playground. As the years went on, the kids would come up with these wild projects they wanted to do. They wanted to build houses. Who knew they made square dowel rods? But they're expensive. Legos. You know, one box of Legos doesn't go nearly as far as you think it will if you're not a Lego aficionado. They wanted to make t-shirts. They wanted to cook, and we cooked every year but this year. It's making me a little sad. But they wanted to do all these things. And I'm like, well, who's going to pay for this? And so they're like, well, we're gonna sell something, Miss Taunton. And I'm like, okay, great. So we started making them write a business plan. Now, this is essentially the business plan that the Youth Entrepreneurship Showcase uses. And mine always turns out to be about one page. But the one thing I changed is down here at the bottom is we do a statement of profit use. So what are they going to use the money for starting out? So Springdale does an economics fair for third grade. This is the first year, I think, in 30 years we haven't had one. So they're going to use that to buy the resources they need. But they're also going to buy winter outerwear for students at Childers Nap. So, and then if there's anything left, then we just use it for whatever we're doing in the classroom. But we bought hats, gloves, and scarves that year, so that, you know, our kids who don't have winter wear because they've never been in a cold climate can have some hats and gloves and scarves. And so that is called social entrepreneurship, where you figure out what your cause is and figure out how to pay for it through a business. Tom's Shoes is probably one of the most famous brands who does that. For every pair of Tom's shoes you buy, they donate a pair. So we did hats, gloves, and scarves. I'm not sure how many other buildings do this, but before a big holiday break like spring break or Christmas or Thanksgiving, we beef up the snack packs that go home and try to make sure there's enough food for that student or that family, even for that whole time we're out, or at least as much of it as we can cover. So that's one of the things we started doing. And then one of our local businesses donated this fantastic little food pantry to the front of our building. And so while we didn't buy all of this, we frequently go out and spend our profits for the little food pantry. Next year, our goal is to do birthday packs, you know, with a cake mix, candles, icing, and obviously we can't put eggs in it, but, you know, any of the dry goods or cooking oil and that sort of thing that you need to make a birthday cake in a pack for that to go home with kids who may or may not be able to have a birthday cake on their birthday. So, projects that won't drive you nuts, probably, because it kind of depends on your tolerance for chaos. This is one of our most successful products. We call them hugograms. The kids can order them for their friends, and I frequently have parents order for their kids' entire class. And they do these. Third grade can do these. That's my handwriting, obviously, for the picture. Sometimes we have to practice rewriting things, but we sell those for 50 cents. They cost about a dime. And so that gives us quite a nice profit. And we usually sell between 500 and 750-ish, sometimes more, sometimes less. Several schools use this across the district, and I have one friend who's, and Leanne, are you on here? If Leanne does a really good job with hers, her kids buy lots of those. But this is, it's just, we run it on pink cardstock. This is what the order form, and again, I'm happy to send these to whoever would like to have them. The interesting thing about this is they can send them to anybody in the building. And it's frequent that they don't know the classroom teacher's name. So just be prepared for that. Last year, we sold Christmas stockings with their names on them. We used the vinyl from Expressions vinyl and heat pressed the names or Merry Christmas or Feliz Navidad on them. We sold those for $1 and there were a couple pieces of candy in them. This was pretty easy. Now, the way to do this though is after Christmas next year, go buy all the stockings when they're half price and then do it the year after that. And you can write a fairly easy grant and get matches from Economics Arkansas and Thea Foundation to do a Cricut, the vinyl, and a heat press. We'll talk more about that later. And we've all made these. These don't sell as nearly as well as other things, but they're a quick and easy project. And again, if you go to after Christmas sale at Hobby Lobby or Joann's or whatever, you can get those beads for next to nothing. Profit maximization is a thing. This is another very popular product. We sell it at Halloween. It's a coffee filter, a Tootsie Roll Pop, and some yarn. That's it. So again, you've got about 12 cents into those. The big thing is everything we do, I need the kids to be able to do it entirely on their own. If I'm staying up after school 5 or 6 hours trying to get them done, then it's not the kids' project, it's my project. And that's not teaching them anything. So, but this one goes really well. And we, like I said, we sell them for 50 cents. We make about 12. I convinced some kids to do these. These are fun. It's amazing how many 5th graders cannot tie a knot. But these did not sell quite as well, but I liked them, so we did them that year. I talked the kids into it. Projects I will never do again, probably. This is one of the things that we did for economics fair. Paracord bracelets are fairly simple to do if you have good fine motor skills. Now, I'm not sure you guys have realized this, but we're not doing a lot with fine motor skills. And so we needed something that looked like this. Now, I have a fantastic brother-in-law who built me something very similar to this that we made these from, but I will let my kids do a whole lot of things. They hot glue on their own. We cook with supervision. We do all this, but we don't play with fire. And paracord bracelets require fire to melt the ends of the paracord. So that's one that we will for sure never do again, probably. Certainly not to sell, maybe to do with by ourselves or for ourselves in class, but no.
On the stockings, when you were using the Cricuts and stuff and the heat press, did the students run that or was that a you?
The students run the Cricut pretty much by themselves, and I send home a note for them to use the heat press, and I'm standing there because I don't have a table that's high enough for me to, I'm 5'9", high enough for me to use, but low enough for a 5th grader to use. And so I stand behind the heat press and hold the thing so it doesn't tump over. But parents are pretty, and we have a very long conversation about how hot that gets, what it will do to you, and the fact that if I have to call the ambulance, we are all in trouble. So they do that. But it is definitely a 5th grade project. I would not do that with 3rd graders. They're very careful about it. They're actually more careful with that than they are when we cook. So but they do, but you got to know your kids. Like I have a group of squirrely kids that I will heat press all the things, but that particular group of kids, I could have left the room, not that I would have, but I could have left the room and they could have used the heat press without me. And these candy cane mice, they're cute, they're fun. We sold 1,000 of them. Sadly, I only charged 50 cents. This comes back to one of those fine motor skills things. I didn't have enough kids with the skills to cut the ovals in the ears. We used paint for the eyes and the nose to do all those. So my mother and my sister and I spent a number of hours cutting out ovals and ears for those. Now I have a Cricut Maker, which is supposed to cut felt. I haven't really tried to yet. So that might come up. The one thing, if you do this, they were very popular. I should have sold them for $1. We'd have made the same amount of money, but we'd have had to make less, I have a feeling. So, but they're cute. They're very, very cute. I'll never do these again. There's no way we'll do these. The kids can wrap the legs around. They can cut the pipe cleaner. They can even hot glue the eyes on, but they're not very fast. And so I spent an entire Saturday gluing eyes on, and we use Cool Melt glue guns, but they're still hot, by the way. The Ghost Pops are just as popular, and they'll use these. These were fun, but trying to teach kids how to read the pattern, if they're not spatial learners, this is going to be an issue for them. Okay, so we'll come back to that. Those are just some of the products we've made. I try very, very hard to let the kids drive what they're doing. Now, I will say I limit their options. So if you've ever just turned a kid loose on Pinterest and said, find something to make, they find the most outlandish and fun things to make that you can't get supplies for, or supplies as inexpensively as you need to make it a profitable experience for the kids. We have probably raised somewhere close to $1,500 that we've used for either their projects or for the food pantry, or for winter gear, or whatever they want to donate to. These are not high dollar, high earning things, but they're not really meant to. It's meant to give kids a taste of entrepreneurship and service, because the big thing is kids need to know how to earn money for themselves, but also how to share that money and what they've learned and what they've earned with others that are probably not less fortunate than they are, but lack the opportunity for experiences that they've had. Are there any other questions about the products or things like that before we go on?
At this time, feel free to unmute and ask. Just ask. You don't have to type it.
What is the most profitable thing you've made out of all the things you've shown us? Do you know?
I would say probably the candy cane mice or the Christmas stockings. The hugograms are fairly consistent. We make $300 to $400 profit on those every time. And they're by far the easiest. But like anything else, they get tired of those. So we need to have something to switch it up with the next time we actually produce something for Valentine's Day. And the kids will come up with ideas, and we've sold random things too, just that the kids have made for other events. All right. So if you're looking for curriculum or lesson plans or trade books to use to teach entrepreneurship, Sweet Potato Pie is one of the best, by Kathleen Lindsay. The Federal Reserve Bank has lessons using Sweet Potato Pie, but it teaches goods, services, business, profit, loan, division of labor, entrepreneur, interest, incentive, resources, all those things. And also it ties into Depression era. So if that's one of the time periods you need to teach, this is a great one, along with Uncle Judd's Barbershop. But this one's really good. In this book, there's been a drought. None of the vegetable crops have produced, and it just finally rains in time to save the sweet potato crop. And then Dad comes home and he has a letter from the bank saying, if you don't pay the $75 you owe on your loan, then we're going to foreclose on your farm. So needless to say, that causes a lot of stress and tension in the house. And then Mama remembers she makes the best sweet potato pie in the county, and that there's a harvest festival coming up, and they're going to use the sweet potatoes and make sweet potato pie and sell those. And so each person gets a job. The main character, she gets to go and collect the eggs. While she's doing that, she tips over the milk, so they have to get more milk from the cow. And the 5 children all have different jobs to do churning butter. And there's so many great tie-ins to that. You can cook, you can do the science, and you can do animal husbandry, all those fun and exciting things. I think they're exciting. While the kids, and then bake sweet potato pies in your classroom with the kids. Unless you don't like sweet potato pie, then we have apple pie. But with the lesson comes these great questions. And these are great even to just do your basic business plan. And it's always entertaining because the kids get some really cool ideas about how they could sell it to the world. And so one of these days, I'm going to have a class that can persuade me to open our own Etsy shop. So far, they've not been successful, but it's coming. I can feel it. Last year, we participated in the Youth Entrepreneurship Showcase. They are one of the sessions tomorrow for the Student Engagement Day. In this, the kids write their own business plan. The top 25 business plans then get to go to AGATE to present their project and offer it for sale. And they have, there's cash prizes for the students and for you as the teacher for the business plan, for your marketing plan, and then for your booth. Now, we were one of the top 25 business plans. However, we did not win anything else, but that's okay. But the prize structure is really nice. The Marie Bruno is fantastic and will help you any way she can. You'll have my email at the end. I'm happy to help. I've judged before, but the kids were really excited to do it. And they made these butterfly magnets. You've probably seen them that have like the Reese's Pieces or the M&Ms. They used shredded paper and called it a recycling project. It's a very expensive recycling project, but they did that and they made some money. They sold them for $1 and had a really good time. But it teaches them not only the writing skills for writing the business plan, the economics terminology, and how to run a business, but so many of these kids then get the experience of presenting to an audience other than their peers, which is harder and harder to come by in larger districts to get other than the kids and the teachers and the parents they always see. So this gives them an out in the community sort of opportunity. Here's Marie Bruno's contact information. The Youth Entrepreneurship Showcase has a really great website. And if you'd like help or somebody to review your business plan, send it to me. I'm happy to look at it. Okay, I talked really, really fast. Does anybody have any other questions? I know it's late and we've had some fantastic sessions and we're all kind of tired.
How much did the You said the ghost pops. You said you sold those for 50 cents.
Yes.
Pretty much your kids could use those. Do you know how much each pop cost you?
Between 11 and 12 cents. You can get a box of 100 Tootsie Roll Pops for about $10 at Sam's. Coffee filters, we all know, are dirt cheap. And I used yarn because people drop things off in my room just randomly, and we had a bunch of yarn. And then the thing that wasn't in the picture is we do Happy Halloween on I don't print them on labels, but I just print on yellow paper. But we use the return address label size and just do Happy Halloween. And then the kids write whoever's getting its name on the back, and they tie that to the this yarn so that the teacher knows who to give it to. And I have collected a bunch of like Outback Steakhouse paper bags and those sorts of things. And each teacher has one with their name on it. And so all of theirs go in there, the kids deliver it, and they hand it out at whatever party there is. So, but yeah, no, that and the hugograms are probably the least expensive cost wise. And most kids can come up with 50 cents. So that's a pretty good seller there. And we do everything pre-order. The only other time we have a booth per se or a table in the cafeteria is when we have leftover things from an event. So if they had leftover things from Econ Fair, or we sold the butterfly magnets in the cafeteria in the morning before school. So, but I feel like I threw a lot at you very, very fast. So if you have questions come up, if you want the order forms, have them in English and Spanish. We're working on Marshallese. You're welcome to those. You're welcome to just about anything I have, because that's the way we roll in GT.
Thank goodness.
That's the truth. I don't think I could come up with all the things that everybody did if I have to do it all on my own.
Yes.
So this is a
There's
great
a question in the chat. Will we be able to access this presentation after the Zoom is over? Yes, I'm recording it right now. And I will put this session, it will be uploaded to the AGATE website, and you'll be able to access this recording for 2 weeks. And then Jennifer, did you attach this to your session?
I did not, but I can, or like I said, I'm happy. I got a little, it said I could only upload 50 megabytes, and I'm pretty sure this is bigger than that.
Okay.
So, but if you email me, I'm happy to send it to you. But I did PowerPoint instead of Google Drive, which was not my smartest move.
You know what though? PowerPoint still has really cuter graphics and stuff than slides.
And it's a lot easier for me to navigate because I'm old. But but it does do things more intuitively than Google Slides does.
Yes. Google Slides is more boring and plain.
Yes.
Okay, unless Jennifer, I'm taking offense. You're younger than I am. I know when you're
Not by much, Susan. Not by much. What, a whole year? I mean,
what, 3 years?
No, that's Ann.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, if you guys need to go do something else, I'm not going to be offended if you drop off, because that was my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have if I can figure out how to turn the chat back on.
I have another question.
Okay.
I am presenting tomorrow with advice for me on that. Like, I'm new to every each year, and I'm freaking out about it.
I am super happy to answer your question, but 2/3 of it dropped out.
Oh, do you have any advice for me? My group is presenting tomorrow with my students are presenting for the YES competition. and they are super, super, super nervous. They like none of them ever talk. None of them ever really like to speak. So we've made a commercial. But do you have any advice for us?
I would say this. My kids, 2 of those girls, like I had them for 5 years and they still didn't talk to me. So one of the things that I always tell people is pretend to be yourself 2.0. So you're not really, you can just let go of all of your insecurities, all of your things, and just say, hey, I am now the character of Jennifer Taunton. I am not an introvert, I'm an extrovert. And for the next 3 hours, I am going to be outgoing person. And the other thing is just remind them, the people who come talk to them want to talk to them. So they're not there to try to catch them or trip them up or do anything else. They just want to hear about their thing, and just tell them to talk about what they know and to be sure to introduce themselves.
Thank you.
And another thing is just try to have like other teachers come in and talk to them to practice. It's late now, of course, but I always have somebody who doesn't normally come into my room come in and just ask them randomly weird questions because they get used to what you ask them. Kids are always nervous because it's people they don't know.
Mine are nervous about the virtual component of it all.
See, we didn't have a virtual component. If you'll share what it is it just that they're going to Zoom, or I don't know what the virtual component is.
Yeah. Going to Zoom, and all, like, my whole school is virtual right now because of a flood situation. So I'll have to join with them, and then, like, I'm going to run the commercial that we've made, and then I guess they're going to answer questions.
To me, virtual is easier because they can say their piece and then wait for the next question, and they're in the comfortable place. You know, they're where they're used to being. They're at home. Everything's just sort of, they don't have to worry about fire drills, which was my main concern. So
That's good advice. Thank you.
you're welcome.
While you're thinking of new questions or anything, I just wanted to shout out a reminder about the awards from 6 to 7 and the trivia at 7 o'clock. You can get to both of those places on the AGATE website.
Hey, Jennifer, FYI, Marcia called you out about helping people.
Oh, I'm happy to help. I don't have to. Susan's referring to the Bessie B. Moore Awards program through Economics Arkansas, which if you're doing any kind of econ entrepreneurship, you should enter. It's $1,000 in your pocket to spend how you want. But I won last year, so I can't even enter. So if you'd like for me to read your project, as long as you don't send it to me the night before it's due, I'm happy to read it. And they're not due till the middle of July. But and if you want advice on how to do it, I'm happy to do that too. The big thing is if you're going to enter Bessie B. Moore, take a ton of pictures. Actually, I just hand the camera to a kid and say, take pictures. They'll take 1,000. You'll get 100 usable ones out of them. It's great. And then whatever, I do a lot of class discussion. Well, there's no way to document that in a written work. So one of the things I do is always try to make sure there's at least 2 or 3 paper pencil activity that kids can do, or, Google Doc, Google Slides, something that I can either make a copy of or take a screenshot of and put into it's a paper, guys. The paper you write for this, and that will keep you going. But documentation is the big thing. And I will be honest, I'll sit there and go, okay, guys, we're going to talk about productive resources. And we do all of this great discussion. Well, I can talk about that, but a physical representation of that, the judges usually appreciate. And I've judged for that too. So I'm happy to read yours.
Well, if you do something like that, can you take a picture of while they're working, planning their discussion, if they're having to do
Oh,
like,
absolutely. And if
and
you,
then maybe if they write anything or do a graphic organizer, use that?
absolutely, those are the best things. And like, I've taken pictures of a kid standing at the board, writing the list of productive resources, or if we use paper ones, they're moving them around on the board. It's just, we all like pictures, and judges especially do. So of work, of students working, like the pictures of the kids laying on the floor making their posters or building their products, those are all great pictures. And like I said, if you give a kid a camera, you might have too many pictures to choose from. And you can get cameras if you don't have them for your classroom, through a Donors Choose grant, which Economics Arkansas will match half. And Thea's out of money currently, but you know, if you buy one or two decent point and shoot cameras, it's only a couple $100. And I'm happy to share. You can search for me on Donors Choose and see the different things I've done, and just copy and paste. Go for it. I'm really excited about my, I got a stationary bike. We're going to bike across America and send letters to different towns asking them how tourism and industry affect the economy of their town. Economics paid for half on Donors Choose.
You kids are going to all be in shape by the end of that.
I only have one exercise bike, and I got a couple of teachers who may or may not get locked out of the room so that I can have the kids on it. But it was nice. I got the stationary bike, and I got one with a desk on top so they can work. And we got under the bike, under the desk pedals, so that I can have two kids riding. And then atlases. Has anybody bought atlases lately? They're expensive. Like the cheapest atlas was $20, and
Wow.
you have 10 or so kids. That gets pricey, but we'll have to do it more than 1 year. Anyway, but Donors Choose is the easiest, if your district will let you do it, the easiest way to get materials for your classroom. And I like stuff. The kids make fun of me even. So, you know, but when you need to send home 75 bags of art supplies, that's a nice way to pay for it. So.
Did you use Economics Arkansas, the Donors Choose, to get your Cricut machine and materials?
Uh-huh. I wrote that probably towards not this year, but first semester. I'm not, if you're not familiar with Thea Foundation, they're an arts organization in the state who provides funding for elementary schools. You can ask for a match to a project up to $1,000, so they'll pay $500. Middle school, I think it's $1,500, and high school, I think it's $2,000. But so if you do it right, and I'm about to tell you how to do it right. So you write your grant, you make sure economics is prominent in it, and it's not hard to do. I've got 5 or 6 that you can go back and look at, or I'll send them to you, that and tie economics to either visual or performing arts. So our visual art component was that the kids were going to design and create their own t-shirts. Our economics part of that was that they were going to then offer those t-shirts for sale. So we got a Cricut maker, a few t-shirts. T-shirts are harder to buy because they've got to be size specific. A lot of vinyl, and then extra mats. And I don't remember that. And so when you get the notification from Donors Choose that Economics Arkansas is going to match your grant, then you send Nick Lepidop. It's on the website. A note asking if that meets their criteria for funding, and they either will or they won't. But when they if you have, you gotta let the economics match attach first. And then when they pay their half, Economics Arkansas pays the other half. And in about 48 hours, you funded a $1,000 grant.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But right now, Economics Arkansas still has money on their match. So that you can go ahead and write it, and then you only have to come up with half. Or, bug your friends on Facebook. I don't need any more stuff at my house. So I usually ask my family when they want to know what I want for Christmas. That's what I ask for, is for them to contribute to any Donors Choose grant I have. Anything else? Again, that's my email. I am not hard to find, and I am happy to help in any way I can, be it grant writing, Bessie B. Moore writing, or entrepreneurship. There are great places to get lessons, and I'll send you anything I have. So
Thank you for sharing.
Oh, happy to do it.
Thank you for, a great presentation, a lot of information. I've got lots of notes, lots of ideas swimming around.
You're welcome.
Yes. Okay, well, if there's not any more questions or comments, you did really good. There's only like 3 minutes left, so you did awesome.
I'm very good at talking.
Great. Hey, that's good. And this was like a laid back conversation. That was good. Haven't had that a lot today.
Well, there's that's why I like in-person presenting, because you can do more discussion.
Yes.
But this is good too.
Yeah, it worked out good. Don't forget awards program and trivia. Trivia is going to be with Jake Allen, who was on Jeopardy from Arkansas. He's going to be our trivia person. GT Trivia tonight at 7:00. Links and everything are on the AGATE website. You probably got an email just now, also from Dustin.
Y'all have done a phenomenal job running this show today.
Thanks.